What is happening, everybody? It's Tuesday. It's time for MLB Live Before Lock with myself and Eric. We're sponsored here by DraftKings and, DraftKings Best Ball. They've got their great deal still going on. Draft one team for $20. You can get another team totally for free next week. Also, Eric, it is Best Ball week on DraftKings. They did a Best Ball week as well in July. There's another one coming up next week, which is good. They do different promo offers every single week for Best Ball week in July. So I assume it's going to be something similar coming up next week in August. Do us favors, you guys, come in here, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And Eric, I've got a little bit of a bone to pick with you.
Okay, get this out of the way, because this is just, when you tweeted out, I was like, of course, yeah, box of shame. You are just blowing this out of proportion, because here's the thing. Everybody knows, or at least I know this because I know you personally. When you already, you weren't asking me a question yesterday to have me tell you whether or not you were right or wrong. You already knew you were right. So it is what it is. Yeah.
So here's there are many perks that Eric gets from working here. He gets paid in all the animal crackers he wants. He gets all kinds of publicity by being in the YouTube channel. But more importantly than all of that, he gets access to my personal cell phone number, which, I mean, what's better than that, Eric? I respond to text quickly. I send penis pictures, the whole deal. Eric gets everything, yes. My cell phone. I'm a great contact to have. But also, I send him great tips and information and heads up on stuff. So yesterday,
you were talking to yourself and you know it. That's the thing that drives me nuts.
I let Eric know yesterday that Josh Hader was injured. I let Eric know yesterday that Hader was hurt. I texted him and I said, I think Hader might be injured here. And Eric disagreed with me. He wanted none of it. He was saying that's not what they said on the, because he's what Eric is. He's one of these green check mark people where he said on the broadcast, they said that Hader was not hurt. They said Hader was not hurt.
They said that he pitched 36 pitches and that he probably wasn't going to be available on Sunday. That is literally what the quote was on Sunday when I was watching the telecast. You goober. Continue.
I disagreed. For my own reasons. I told you the reasons why I disagreed as well. He threw 35 pitches a few weeks ago, 1 day rest. This time he throws 36 pitches and all of a sudden he needs 3 days rest. I didn't believe it, so I told Eric, Hader's hurt. We're making, this is infinite money glitch time. We're making some money, but he didn't want to get in on it. And now what's going to happen? The next time an injury arrives and there's some betting edge to it, you got to listen to me next time, Eric. That's my little rant at the top.
I was listening to, there was no time to react. Literally, maybe 30 minutes later, we get the notification that, oh yeah, Josh Hader is hurt. I literally went on X. Not that I don't have anything to do in my evenings, Greg, as I am putting graphics together and trying to, by the way, I completely forgot to put in logos yesterday because I got distracted by the fact that we hit 3 or 4 home runs and completely nuked the board, and we continue to make a ton of money in the Discord, but that's neither here nor there. Greg's part of the reason we make so much money in the Discord because, yes, he's so good at futures, which is why I wanted him in there to specifically provide that service for people, different than the other services he provides exclusively to others. But boy, was it a sharp take. 30 minutes, not enough time. Fuck you, Isaac. No, that's not the point of saying that. What I'm saying is that there was no actionable. I didn't see anything that would lead me to think he was hurt. And then all of a sudden, oh, ta-da, he's hurt.
He was hurt. Now he's on the injury list. He's dead for futures awards. We've got in Eric's Discord. I posted a bet on Roldis Chapman, 18-1 to win the AL Reliever of the Year award. Also, I ended up betting Munoz on Seattle plus 250 to win the American League Reliever. And those are the only 2 candidates now, either Chapman or Munoz.
Cookie?
I've got the market corner. All I wanted to do is embarrass you publicly. That was really all I wanted to do here. Mission accomplished. Let's talk about tonight's baseball slate, guys. And one more time, if you haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you would like to ask Eric or I questions or simply harass Eric in the Discord because he deserves it, sign up for any of the packages at Stokastic using the links that we have down below in the YouTube description box. And yeah, those do come with access to our Discord channel. Let's get to it, Eric. Talking about pitching, which was an absolute disaster yesterday. All of the pay-up options that were somewhat reasonable, I think every single pay-up option sucked yesterday. If you paid up for any pitcher yesterday, it went poorly for you. Crochet, lit up. Nathan Eovaldi, he was a viable contrarian pivot, lit up. We had Yamamoto, crushed by the Angels. Then you had Logan Webb, who was the contrarian option. He also didn't pitch well yesterday for a DFS standpoint. So there was no way to pay up for pitching, have it go well for you on last night's slate. Eric, here's what we got today on the high end. We've got Paul Skenes at 11,000. He's 22% owned, so not overly popular. Sims are liking him a little bit here, coming in overweight to the field, so with him being in just about a third of the top 150 lineups I have favored here. Paul Skenes, just like Eric Crochet last night, is on a price tier of his own at $11K on DraftKings. Are you looking to pay up for Paul Skenes in his sub-2 ERA tonight?
Sorry, Arika Gumbawale ended up getting ruled out, so we had to make some quick little wagers on that one. Go snipe some numbers, but back to what you were saying. Yes, we are going to be backing him here today. I don't know what else to say. His ownership's come down throughout the day, hasn't it? Like, he was sitting there around 36, 37% basically all day, now sitting in that 32-ish, 33% number. And I think he's in by far the best spot of all of these options. 3.3 implied run total. I don't love the strikeout projection that I've got on him, but like overall, his safety that he's bringing with it is just ridiculous. Like his hits prop, I did take the over of it, but it's at 3.5. Like his hits prop is 3.5. So like, oh, Freddy Peralta is just awesome. As far as Skenes goes, I mean, this is probably the next best spot. And I know Milwaukee's been inferno, like out of control good, but like Paul Skenes, he's still able to go 6 innings. I mean, his WAR is like nearly 5. I don't know what to say other than like, these are the two guys you kind of want to be getting to ad nauseum. And then Carlos Rodon. It's another slate just like yesterday that I'm going to get unnecessarily punished for, Greg. I love paying up for pitcher, and I'm just playing cheap goober stacks yet again.
Yeah, so Paul Skenes, the matchup isn't great against the Brewers. By the way, strikeout prop also has been coming down over the course of the day. It's 6.5, and earlier in the day it was 7.5, then it was 6.5, and it was pretty high plus money on the under. Now it isn't even that much plus money on the under, 6.5. So the betting market is definitely taking some action against Paul Skenes in his strikeout upside today. His ERA for the year, 1.94. His expected ERA, 2.49. His FIP, 2.32. He's been the best pitcher in baseball over the course of the last couple of seasons. He's now made 47 career starts and is a sub-2 ERA. I had big questions about what his workload was going to look like in the second half of the season. I believe you did as well, Eric, because there was a point in time where Paul Skenes was just not allowed to pitch past 5 innings. Like the Pirates he would be at 5 innings and 80 pitches, and the Pirates just be like, he's done for the day. So I thought he was going to be severely limited in the second half of the season. Maybe there's still a chance that ends up happening down the stretch here, but that's not how his recent outings have gone. We've seen the pitch count creep back up. He's been allowed to go past 5 innings. He's gone 6 innings in 3 of his last 4 starts. And this was kind of the first start where here's the start where I actually felt most confident that he was for sure limited going forward. It was that start against your Minnesota Twins where he only pitched 5 innings and had 6 strikeouts. I was like, all right, he's just not going to be a guy who pitches deep into games going forward. And then since then, 6 innings, 6 innings, 5 innings, 6 innings, and it's been less of a problem for him. So I can't say with 100% confidence there won't be any sort of pitch restrictions going forward. But if I have to say, will he or will he not have any pitch restrictions? It seems to be more likely, at least on an individual slate basis. I want to play it as if he doesn't have any kind of crazy restrictions until I see it happening. And then when you're also getting him at right around 20% ownership, so it's not like he's crazy popular or anything like that, I would prefer to be overweight to the field on Paul Skenes. If he was massively popular today and he was like 40 to 50% owned in this matchup, then I would say, you know what? I'll take an underweight stance to Skenes. But when he's not all that popular, I prefer to be overweight to him in this spot.
Yeah, we saw this with a lot of pitchers. Drew Rasmussen's the first one that comes to mind, which was also an abbreviated start against my Minnesota Twins, for what it's worth. It wasn't crazy by any means to have him be more limited coming off of like a bunch of injuries. Paul Skenes has, been healthy like through the duration of his career. It's just a question of like, do we want to push Paul Skenes, a generational talent, when we don't have generational pieces around him? And that's kind of the question. But we saw a lot of teams leading into that All-Star break and really limit pitchers. And Paul Skenes was one of those guys, 78 leading into it. Got a full 10 days off before pitching again. And then it was kind of like back to normal, 6 innings. Like, I don't think he'll pitch into a 7th inning unless he has like 65 or 70 pitches. the rest of the year. Like, I think it's such an outlier for him. And you look at some of the vig that you're looking at on his outs props, and like, it kind of reflects that to some extent. Like, good luck getting a bettable number at 18.5 or something. Like, good luck getting a bettable number at 17.5. It's just not going to happen the rest of the year. It's going to be so inflated and you won't really have access to it. So that's telling me one thing. Paul Skenes, 6 innings, though, he's still the best pitcher in baseball. It's been an absurd run for him. We're going to pray Zach Wheeler has some ridiculous outings coming down the home stretch here. But I think on a slate like this, yeah, Milwaukee's playing crazy good baseball, but I really don't give a shit. I'm just going to be firing up Paul Skenes.
Yeah, I think he's someone to be overweight to the field too. And also ownership fairly spread out at pitcher today. We only have 5 pitchers who are double-digit owned today. The other ones, we're about to talk about Carlos Rodon and Freddy Peralta. Then you got Jack Flaherty, 14% owned. And then Nestor Cortez, 14.5% owned. He is the punt option the field is getting to most frequently. Between Carlos Rodon being just under 20% owned and Freddy Peralta being the most popular pitcher on the slate, 33% owned, he is the only pitcher who is even close to this kind of ownership. It's not really a problematic number, 33%, but the next closest is Paul Skenes at 20%, and then Rodon just under 20%, not all that far behind. Between Rodon and Freddy Peralta, which of the pitchers priced right around 10K do you prefer?
I prefer Peralta, but I will say this. I am worried in single entry. I think in single entry, there is a chance Freddy Peralta is giga owned, as Jesse would say, like giga owned. I don't think I care because of the stacks that I'm playing or that I'm considering playing in single entry. And then in large field, I'm just going to get to a lot of Freddy Peralta. So I guess it's just simply a question of like what else you've got in your lineup, how to kind of go about piecing it together. But Freddy Peralta has, as I said before, the best spot. It's a 3.3 implied run total in Vegas. It's a complete dog doo-doo lineup as they roll it out in its current iteration. You know he's going to throw 50, 55% fastballs. You know that it's probably going to be dancing around to some extent, and he's probably going to get a lot of swing and miss against guys like Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz batting 3-4, Jack Sawinski in there in the 6 hole, who is an eternal strikeout. He, woke up this morning and struck out. Henry Davis, 25% K rate out there. Isn't as good as Joey Bart, but overall, you can't really complain with this lineup iteration if you were on like the over of 6.5 strikeouts, I think, for Freddy Peralta. I don't love anything from like a betting perspective on him because like his 17.5 outs, I mean, it's kind of projecting out much worse than I was expecting. I thought he was going to be like auto jammed to the over, but our data from a DFS perspective, I just don't see a way that you don't like Freddy Peralta at a discount, $200 less than Rodon, $1,000 less than Paul Skenes. He should be your highest owned pitcher. And I know yesterday didn't go the way people anticipated. I thought I was going to smash that slate with Yamamoto coming up in the window. I had just enough Warren where I thought it could be all right. Nope. Everything was bad. I don't really care. I'm going back up to the top again.
Yeah, so Freddy Peralta just showing up, like you said, a ton in our data. He's looking like by far the best pitching option on the slate. The field agrees because he is the most popular pitcher, but still, I don't think 33% is problematic ownership for Freddy Peralta. He's got really strong numbers overall for the year. We know he brings strikeout upside to the table with a 26% strikeout rate, which is down a little bit from his career mark of 29.5, but still not anything that you'd look at and be like, oh my God, only a 26% strikeout rate. And then there's a reason that Paul Skenes, despite having a sub 2 ERA, has a 7-8 record. One of it is because win-loss records don't mean shit for pitchers. It's not indicative of anything. The other part of it, too, is this Pittsburgh Pirates offense, total dog shit. It's terrible. So when you're putting them up against Freddy Peralta, which also you had said this, it's such a good matchup for Peralta that I view him as being a pretty safe option here at 10,000. What I think is the real interesting part of this is, so Freddy Peralta is for sure somebody to play in cash games. Do you go to Paul Skenes as your second option in cash games? Do you go down to Nestor Cortez? Who do you feel best about pairing Peralta with in a cash game lineup?
Paul Skenes. It's not that hard. If you just, I'm going to piece it back together here. I was kind of playing with lineups in the single lineup sim before the show. I'm playing 20 lineups and then I'm going to play a bigger lineup just in single entry, but primarily was just betting a lot today. And I thought it was most interesting to like there's one pitcher I do want to get your take on because I think there's some assumptions that we're making and our data's making. And I think probably the correct assumption to make, but I think he's got a lot of upside in the event that he goes 6 and he isn't limited. But I do like the idea of just getting to those two. You have 36.25 per player with 12 teams to be able to parse through. We have so many salary savings, and it shouldn't be that difficult to find a path to like one or two of these major bats that you can still get to. You can get to the Ohtanis of the world still in a cash game format, 3,200 per player. I'm not saying that everything is all, coming up roses, but like we have Jock Peterson still at 2K batting cleanup. He's going to be in there against a righty, mostly righties that are going to be coming out of that pen. Thomas is there at 2,300 in the outfield. You got Martin leading off against Rodon. I don't think that's probably the course I would be taking, but we have a ton of cheap guys. I mean, Tovar against your boy Liberatore today, eternally underpriced. He's been priced this way even when he was in Coors, I know, but like 3,200 for Tovar is not indicative of a guy who I have priced closer to like a fair odds of -135 for over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. So like, I think there's a ton of really good cheapies that I think Skenes and Peralta, it'd be really hard pressed for me not to like. And plus, you kind of have a chance to maybe stack against it for the win, like to be able to get one of the wins from one of the guys. I don't really think there's going to be a lot of runs in this game, as you can tell. But yeah, I think you just get to the top two there and you don't really screw around with anything cute.
Let's talk about the 9K range. This is going to be encompassing Robbie Ray at 6% ownership, Spencer Strider at 9% ownership, Jack Flaherty, who's dealing with a little bit of weather concerns. There is a chance that game is an in-game delay. He is 14% on, but in a good matchup on the road against the Chicago White Sox. There's one thing that stands out to me in the 9K range. I'm wondering if you like anything in the 9K range.
Yeah, I do. And I don't really know what to think about it with Jack Flaherty because of the weather, but like it's not going to be Robbie Ray in San Diego. I already took the under of 5.5 strikeouts for Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray has some weird stuff going on with him right now, and obviously the walks can go completely ballistic at any given moment for him here. Yeah, he's pitching in San Diego here, but like San Diego, despite some of the offensive struggles they've had, they're so strikeout immune. I don't think I'm going to end up firing up Ray in any capacity in DFS today, just with 20 lineups. Like I don't really think there's a need. Jack Flaherty, I could see myself getting to a little bit. Like the White Sox have been more than serviceable after the deadline. Obviously, Colson Montgomery is God. I absolutely love that guy. Converts for the home run for us yesterday. Wish I had bet him instead of Luke Keeschel, but that's a conversation for a different day because, 4-leg parlays on X, people like to see them. But Luis Robert, he's sitting there 27% K rate. And outside of him and Montgomery, it gets really bleak. Benintendi now batting 5th. Vargas, Teal, Cuero. I mean, it's not a great strikeout matchup. And Jack Flaherty is one of those guys that we know he's going to strike out lefties at a pretty ridiculous clip. Like he gets hit up by them too. So it's kind of this push and pull there. But definitely one of those things you want to be paying close attention to because Jack Flaherty on the season, 26.3% K rate against lefties. Like that's more than serviceable. It's just the lefties are pretty okay with me here. Benintendi, Montgomery, Taubman. And then the righties, 31.5% K rate. He's going to mow down some of these righties, I would think. I just got to check the weather. I mean, the weather is just kind of annoying in this one.
Yeah, Josh Gillen bringing up the guy that I like, Spencer Strider. Strider's last start against the Mets, he was 40% owned. He hasn't had the best string of starts as of late, but now we're at a point where his price has gone down a little bit. The ownership is 6%, so people aren't playing Strider really at all at this point. He's still got a 28% strikeout rate for the season. Overall, his numbers, 4.04 ERA, 4.02 expected ERA. It's been an up and down year for him coming back from Tommy John surgery, 15 starts, 82 innings. He's been wildly inefficient with his pitches as of late. But to me, this is just kind of what he's been the entire season, is inconsistent. Some starts, his velocity's up. He looks really good. Other times he comes out, he can't find the strike zone at all. He's walking hitters, and he is inefficient with his pitch counts, doesn't work deep into games. But to me, the upside remains unchanged, and the field just isn't playing him. So if I'm looking for the pitcher who has the lowest ownership with the most upside on the slate, it kind of has to be Spencer Strider for me.
I just get worried about the limitations. We talked about it before his last start. He went 94 pitches. he got hit up 11 hits. So, I mean, that had probably something to do with it as well. But I just don't think the Braves have anything whatsoever to push Spencer Strider coming off of injury for. And I know that it's kind of like extrapolation to say, oh, I have workload concerns for Strider. And then Paul Skenes, who's had actual workload concerns, is like, oh, I'm going to give him the pass here. But I think they're markedly different pitchers right now. And I like Spencer Strider a lot. I tried to make him a thing multiple times throughout the season. I think I got punished for it more than I got rewarded for it. I don't think we've had any like 30-point burgers except for like Colorado, where I think he was like 70% owned or some shit. Like, I don't really think we have any kind of a reason to force him in against the Metsies. But as you said, like, it's still Spencer Strider, and the strikeouts are still somewhat there. Maybe never will get back to where it was once upon a time, but it is never fun to see Lindor, Soto, Nimmo, McNeil. Pete Alonso's fixed his strikeouts this season. Like, I don't know how or what he did, but that's come down, nearly 2-3% from last year against righties. So, yeah, it is what it is.
A month and a half ago, he pitched against the Mets, and he was uber chalk on that individual slate. And not all that much has changed since then. Like, going into that start, his numbers were pretty similar to what they were now. Yeah, it's a little bit later into the season, so there is potential of some sort of pitch count restriction. But with that said, he hasn't thrown less than 90 pitches in a start since June 14th, and he pitched 6 innings with 13 strikeouts in that particular start. That was one against the Rockies. That barely even counts as a big league start. But either way, like, even if he went out and he's throwing 94 pitches, it's not like that's any kind of crazy restriction or anything like that. I'm willing to take chances on him at this kind of ownership. We've got Brian Z4982. He's asking us, how does he remove a team from the Sims if there's weather concern? Yeah, so here's one thing you do pretty easily. So let's just take the White Sox, for example. You could go to the stack boosts, and you could go to the Chicago White Sox, and they're not showing up in any lineups anyway, but say they were, you could do a really massive negative ROI boost to them. You press boost ROI, and then you go to the lineups, and you could unfavorite and then quick favorite your top 150 lineups again. Let's say that you didn't want Jack Flaherty in lineups. Something else you could do that's pretty easy is you could go to the exposure caps. You could go to Jack Flaherty, and you could just say max exposure, 0% of Flaherty, then say set exposures and adjust favorites. So see here, we have 5% of Flaherty. Now, after doing this, looks like, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so you see, like, this was a lineup with Jack Flaherty. It got unfavored because we have the max set at 0% of him, so it won't allow him into any lineups. So you could do that. You could go and set the max exposure to 0% of all the players. You could do massive negative ROI boost. If you wanted to, I don't recommend doing it this way, but if you wanted to, in the contest generator, you could take a team out entirely. So there's a handful of different options for you to get those players out. For you, Eric, with the weather as of right now, are you taking any of these games out entirely?
Yeah, I was just responding to some people in Discord. One of the major things that is beautiful about Stokastic is you guys are able to jump in there. We're able to keep you guys apprised if there's news that updates. We've got News God in there as well, who's updating you on anything that happens. But St. Louis, what I'm expecting is that, like, if they have a late start, I think I'm going to be all right with it because I don't think there's any in-game risk looking at it. I think Chicago looked like shit last night when I looked at it. I think Chicago looked like shit this morning when I looked at it, and I still think it looks like shit. And it's the only reason I haven't bet anything on Colson Montgomery. I don't know what to tell you. It is very dicey. I'm assuming it's going to have a late start too, but like I think there's like in-game delay risk there. I think St. Louis is much cleaner between the two of them, but again, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm simply, reading information and then trying to look at radar and try to come to my own conclusions. I think St. Louis actually looks better than Chicago does.
Yeah, there's certainly risk in the games. If you guys don't want to get exposure to those games at all, you can take them out. Here's going to be one issue you're going to run into, though, is go ahead and look at our stack exposures, which we'll get to in a little bit. And the St. Louis Cardinals, much like yesterday, are showing up more than any other stack in our data today. So that is definitely something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. What I think is the most likely outcome as of right now is probably a late start and then they play later. I did notice looking up the weather, there are flash flood warnings in St. Louis. So that is definitely something that could be a little bit of a potential issue there. But if we're just looking at the rain, it looks like if they waited out an hour, hour and a half, there's no rain later on tonight in the forecast. And it's not like the rain chances are like egregiously high or anything like that. So I think the most likely scenario is the game should be good to play. It definitely does carry a little bit of risk, but the most likely scenario is I think it plays without too much issue.
Agreed.
Let's talk about some more of the pitchers for the slate here, Eric. And 9K range, went over that. The 8K range, there are so many pitchers in the 7 and 6K range, and then a limited amount of the more expensive options. The 8K range, we've got a guy that I have liked a lot this year, Jacob Lopez. He's 5% owned. Michael Wacha is 8% owned. Shane Baz is 8% owned. Do any of these pitchers stand out to you in the 8K range, Eric? The field isn't really playing any of them.
Yeah, let's talk through Jacob Lopez. This is the one that's driving me nuts because I want to play him in single entry. I really, really do. I really want to play him instead of Freddy Peralta and go Paul Skenes because I think we're going to see in single entry a lot more people side with the Freddy Peralta side. And I'll just take Paul Skenes, hope I get my 6 innings, hope I get 9, 10Ks, and I move about with my life. But Jacob Lopez had 114 pitches last time out, Greg. He went 7 2/3, and I was on the over of his outs, and it was actually getting dicey there. Had the over of his strikeouts too. So obviously they both converted. He had 10 strikeouts, 10 punch outs against Washington. But I thought maybe they would push him back like a day or two, or that did not happen. He pitched on the 7th. It is the 12th. That is quick math for you. 4 days rest. I'm really worried about his pitch load. And I talked about it last night a little bit from a betting perspective because I'm like, my data loves over 16.5, over 17.5 outs for him, but I can't bet it because I just have workload concerns. And sure enough, a lot of sharp people ended up hammering that under. It's now sitting at 15.5 for the outs. I think more than likely you see him limited to around the 90 pitch mark. But again, I don't know what to think about this. I just know how managers operate these days. And when a guy comes off of 114 pitches, you see major workload concerns the next time out, and you could see them limited immediately, especially for a team like the A's that don't really have anything to play for other than stats and looking cool.
Lopez has been my guy this year. I don't think there's any pitcher who's been more profitable for me, but there's a couple of things going on here. First off, he's 8K. Basically the entire season, he's been $6,600, $7,000. And for the longest time, offenses are just chalk against him. Despite his numbers looking fantastic the entire year, he pitched and it'd be oh, he's going up against the Astros. Astros are 35% owned as a stack. And I look at Jacob Lopez's numbers and be well, this doesn't really make much sense to me. But I share the same concerns as you, Eric, because he's somebody who earlier on in the season was not working super deep into games and wasn't throwing a shit ton of pitches either. And now all of a sudden he's coming off a start where for just the second time this year, he threw over 100 pitches. And he didn't just throw over 100 pitches. He threw well over 100 pitches, 7 2/3 innings, 114 pitches. I think we see him pitch assuming he pitches reasonably well. And there aren't if he gets blasted, he comes out early. I think he probably is 5 innings, 85 pitches or something like that today.
Yeah. What's his contract situation too? Because as you said, he's been really good. He's a fly ball pitcher and has been succeeding in a small ballpark. And I kind of did a breakdown of his pitch mix and why it is that he generates strikeouts. Because for those who love Stuff Plus, I love Stuff Plus. I know a lot of new age people do as well. It's a really fun way to look at pitch grading. And it basically isolates movement of pitches. It doesn't show you the entire story. And Jacob Lopez has a really low arm angle. It's not as low as Chris Sale, but it kind of reminds you of it for sure. It's a lower arm angle and does a lot of really cool things with deception and hiding the ball. And I really enjoyed learning about baseball and learning about why a guy like this gets strikeouts, even with terrible Stuff Plus numbers. And now he's played himself into a spot where he's making $150,000 this year. He's played himself into money. I got to think if you're him or his agent or something else, the guy's a 1.2 WAR. Is he the best pitcher ever? No, but he's a really good pitcher. And I think a spot like San Francisco, he could make a lot of money. I don't think he has any service time after this. Does he? Yeah. So he'll be a free agent. I can't imagine that they want him pitching more than 90, 95 pitches, period, end of story, not even remotely close.
I think it's not the biggest deal. I think some of that is wrong though. I still think he's under team control by the A's. And
Okay.
he's getting paid $760,000 this year, not
Oh, okay. There you
150,000.
go. He went to the
Either
College
way,
of the Canyons, though. I'm just reading about him now over at those lovely places.
Either way, he's not getting paid a ton of money or anything like that this year. The A's are also in a situation where they're not playing for anything for the rest of the season. He's not super young either. He's 27 years old. I just can't imagine they're going to have him throw 114 pitches the rest of the season in any other individual starts or anything like that. But yeah, I remain high on Jacob Lopez, just not in this particular spot. Super hitter friendly park. I mean, typically when he's pitching, it's in a super hitter friendly park. But coming off of that last outing, I definitely have concerns about what the workload could potentially look like. The 8K range is not massively interesting to me. The 7K range is. We had Einstein in chat ask us what we think about Sheehan for today. Yep. He has, on paper, a really good matchup against the Angels, the same really good matchup on paper that Yamamoto had last night. But Yamamoto, much like every other pay-up option that was available on the slate yesterday, got their face kicked in. There was no way to pay up for pitching, have it go well for you today. No matter who you rostered, whatever door you opened and went into, that pitcher sucked yesterday. You paid up for them yesterday. And Yamamoto, who got off to a really rocky start, then all of a sudden it looked like he righted the ship, and then he fell apart again. I think it was like the fourth inning or anything like that, and just had a shit outing, one of his worst outings of the season. Emmett Sheehan for today, $7,700. He is a contrarian option, 7% owned. Do you like rostering a not very expensive, but a fairly contrarian Emmett Sheehan in a pretty good matchup against the Angels?
Yeah, I do like it. I don't love it. So I want to be very clear about that, but we see him strike out more righties, 26% K rate relative to 23.5%. The other thing is the kitty gloves are off, and this was kind of my breakdown of him last time. He was piggybacking off of Shohei Ohtani starts for a while. He's pitched so well that it's kind of like not even negotiable. Like the Dodgers, especially, that are so thin for starting pitcher depth, they had to do something and just give him the free rein to be able to do his own thing and figure out the Ohtani piggybacking with some other dudes, because he's been just unequivocally pretty darn good. Now, 4.16 xFIP, whatever, but you love FIP more, 3.01 FIP, and this isn't like 30 innings of work. I think there's room for him to grow. He doesn't give up long balls in a small ballpark here. I mean, he's sitting at rate like 0.6 home runs per 9. I like pretty much everything about Emmett Sheehan in this spot. I almost partook in the 5.5 strikeouts here, but I'm probably just going to leave that off. I'm going to play him in DFS, though. I wanted to make Lopez a thing. I just don't think I can do it with, what's happened, especially in the line movement in the outs department there. But Emmett Sheehan, man, I think he is by far the best option to get to in the 7K range.
I agree with you. If you look at his numbers for the year, really solid. Is he going to go crazy deep into the game? Probably not. They usually keep him like 75-ish pitches, but 3 ERA, 3.59 expected ERA, 3.01 FIP, 25% strikeout rate. Listen, if people are going to not play him specifically because Yamamoto pitched poorly against the Angels last night, like pitchers have bad outings sometimes. It happens. Sometimes pitchers have bad outings and good matchups. That also happens. But Emmett Sheehan has the same good matchup against the Angels. They strike out a ton. Really, my biggest concern about Sheehan is just like how deep are the Angels going to allow him to work into the game. I don't get too concerned about randomness happens and the other pitcher had a bad outing against the Angels last night. But compared to the other pitchers in the 7K range, I can make the same case for Matthew Liberatore that I did for Miles Mikolas last night. The one difference is there are some weather concerns there, which makes it a button that I don't really want to click. But any single cheap pitcher that's going up against the Rockies that doesn't have ownership, this will be like the one caveat because there are weather concerns there that makes me say like, it's probably not worth the risk. Miles Mikolas sucks. He's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. I was willing to take chance on him against the Rockies last night. He didn't light the world on fire, but he pitched reasonably well for his price tag. Most pitchers are going to pitch reasonably well against the Rockies because they're dog shit. So if the weather was to clear up later on in the night, then I think Liberatore becomes a little bit more viable. But with the existing weather concerns, I don't really have all that much interest. Anything else in the 7K range you want to point out?
No, let's talk Nestor Cortes. Here we are.
All right. So we go ahead and look at pitchers for cheap. Nestor Cortes, who is showing up Pretty good amount in the Sims. He's showing up in 29% of lineups, pitching against the San Francisco Giants. Last night, the Giants and the Padres played against each other. Logan Webb was on the mound for San Francisco. He struggled a little bit, but now we got Nestor Cortes going for the Padres against the Giants. The Padres, after beating Logan Webb and the Giants last night, they can kind of put the Giants away for the rest of the season and really put some space in between them and the Giants in the standings for the wild card. Because you came into this series, the Giants were like 6 games back. And so you think like, all right, if the Giants sweep this 3-game series, they're only 3 games behind the Padres. But now the Padres win game 1. I mean, if they win the next 2, they're 9 games up on the Giants. Then, pretty slim chances for the Giants to leapfrog them in the standings. And Nestor Cortes, the man they are sending to the mound, pulling some ownership. Do you like him, Eric, or is there any other cheap option you prefer? Because it looks like the way the field is approaching is just like, oh, if I'm going to go cheap, I might as well go to Cortes in a pitcher-friendly park.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I'm taking shots on Jack Leiter and picking shots on Matthew Liberatore just above him there too, in the 7K range. But amongst the 6K guys like Spencer Arrighetti, I don't think we can expect a ton of depth out of him here in this spot. He does have strikeout stuff. That's always been kind of the calling card. He got up to 86 pitches in that last outing. So more than I think they said like 80 to 85. He got to 86 and got pummeled by Miami there in that spot. I still think I would rather fire up Cortes, who's just in a better ballpark for sure. Still has the opportunity, I think, to show out a little bit better. I mean, 3 starts is not really a decent enough sample size. And I mean, he has a really low BABIP. He has a really high strand rate. He has, awful underlying numbers. But I think we can eventually see some more strikeout stuff coming his way. And I don't love that Nestor Cortes is the guy that's there, but he's in San Francisco. And I think you can roll the dice. 76 pitches last time out, 80, 85. I just have a lot more respect for Boston's offense than I do for San Francisco's at the moment. So it doesn't feel great, but I think Nestor Cortes is the best option down here, but the field kind of recognizes that. So I'm trimming it a little bit.
Yeah. So I think that Cortes makes more sense than the other cheap pitchers. But with that said, I don't love him as much as our data does on the site, mostly because Nestor Cortes is not a pitcher who I think is particularly great. Obviously, the park is going to help him. So much of his career has been built on deception and, like changing speeds and changing his delivery. And I do wonder that after there's a good amount of, he's 30 years old now. And I do wonder that once there's a good amount of information on a pitcher like that, how much effectiveness do they lose on some of that deception? So we don't have that much data on Cortes this year. He's only made 3 starts. He's dealt with injuries. His velocity has been way down, 90.5 miles per hour as compared to 92 miles per hour last year on his average fastball velocity in those limited innings. He's got a 7.11 ERA, a 7.12 expected ERA. I'm okay with taking some shots on him. I'm kind of interested in taking leverage stacks against him, assuming he's going to be kind of popular in small field stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way that I feel about Spencer Arrighetti as well. I think I'm more on the Boston side than I am on the Spencer Arrighetti side. Spencer Arrighetti's had strikeout stuff in the past. I mean, we've had some ridiculous outings for him, but there's no doubt that he's also going to be somebody who gets tuned up more than his fair share of times. I mean, last season, his max exit velocity, some of his peripheral numbers, just ridiculous. And then 16.5 degree launch angle. It came down a little bit in that first start back in a while, that is. So he's had, 243 pitches this season, 10.5 degree launch angle. But it's a nice ballpark for eliminating lefty power to some extent. Obviously, Devers is in San Francisco now. You do have Roman, Anthony, and Duran to deal with, and some other guys that have some definite pop there in the Boston lineup. But it's a really good ballpark to be out there trying to suppress lefty power, as opposed to so many other places that you could be. Baltimore, LA, Angels version that as well, Dodger Stadium as well. Just saying that Spencer Arrighetti, if he finds a way to just not get bludgeoned, he could definitely put up the strikeouts and look all right. But he's going to be pushed 10% here as well and kind of sitting in that same range. I think I'm going to be more on the Boston side.
Yeah, Malukar wants. So I was asking this yesterday as well. What are the damn numbers next to his name? It's different for everybody. So yours looks like your birthday, February 9th, 1927. For other people, it's got their phone numbers. Other people, it has their social security numbers.
It was actually
It's
funny.
Yeah, it's different for everybody. Everybody's numbers mean something different. According to Ken Ratty, it's pretty easy to. I don't know why they got added here, but yeah, here's the reality. I have no clue what the hell these numbers are supposed to indicate. But Ken Ratty here says it's pretty easy to get rid of them. Just go to your YouTube settings and you could remove them from there. So that's what it should be. That's what it should be. Yeah. So text. It's Emacs. Emac is I'll see if I can find Emacs. But yeah, I think Emacs age was listed next to him. It was like 4,370 or something like that. Eric's camera turned off, by the way. But anyway,
I turned it off.
Okay. Oh.
My thing unplugged.
It's
fine. My computer's about to go off.
Am I the only one who can see that?
Nope, hang on.
Eric's naked. All right. So anyway, as far as other cheap pitchers go, if I'm going to roster somebody other than Nestor Cortez as a pivot, it's going to be Spencer Arrighetti for me. And the reason Arrighetti is just because he's somebody who brings a lot of strikeout upside to the table. Arrighetti has also only made a limited amount of starts this year. He had, I think it was like a broken thumb that caused him to miss a whole bunch of time pitching this year. But for his career, he's got a 26.5% strikeout rate. So Arrighetti, just considering he's cheap and unowned, if I'm looking for a pivot off of Nestor Cortez, Arrighetti, just because of the strikeout upside, is somebody who I think is worth considering. We'll talk about stacks here in a second as well. Want to remind you guys to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are looking for information on the late slate tonight, I'm going to be posting something right after the show ends over on Tails, which you could find over at, here's super simple way, tails.bet. Just type in that URL and that is going to take you right over to Tails and totally for free. You could follow me and you can get some DFS content. You get some bets that I post over the course of the day. Eric has some stuff behind the paywall, but also posts a bunch of free stuff. So you could follow Eric there for free as well. There's a number of other people who put out content that you can follow for free over on OddsShopper. So go check out tails.bet. Tails.bet. Just go right to that URL and you can find some of the content I'm going to be putting out for the MLB late slate after this. Let's talk some stacks now, Eric. And here's what it is that we've got from the Sims. 4 5-man stacks are showing up pretty predominantly. The St. Louis Cardinals, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Kansas City Royals, the Texas Rangers. They're all in at least 13% of lineups. The Tigers, by the way, Tigers and White Sox, that is going to start in a rain delay. Tigers are showing up in 7% of lineups, and then nothing else in more than 5% of lineups. For you, Eric, what is your favorite overall stack to be rostering tonight?
It would be St. Louis if I could get the damn weather to cooperate. That's for sure. Just copy paste everything we talked about yesterday. As much as Kyle Freeland has been a pitcher at times that I've taken shots on, at least to get some depth in there for Colorado when he gets outside of Coors Field, this is not the droids you're looking for. Kyle Freeland, 307 expected batting average, 366 xWOBA, gives up fly ball contact, gives up hard contact. I mean, all of these guys for Colorado, and then you get the pen behind them for 4 innings. And it's a treasure trove of goodness. And 210 expected ISO. I would just look at some of these righties, and then the lefties are just really, really good. You get Donovan back in that lineup leading off. You get Burleson in there. I mean, it's really hard for me to look at St. Louis today and not actually like getting to them. And then, of course, our data loves them as well. So it's just 6 righties, 3 lefties, and all the lefties outside of Victor Scott are really, really good. So it's a pretty easy click, I think, at their current ownership. And if people get scared away, it's going to look even better.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to have to say something a little bit uncomfortable. By the way, Tom Olson in chat asked, what is the chalk going to be? It is going to be the Dodgers. The Dodgers are projected for twice as much ownership as any other team.
Do it. San Francisco. Say it. San Francisco.
No. It's not my team. That's not my team.
Ooh.
It's not my team. But anyway, Dodgers, that's going to be the chalk for today. We'll talk about them in a second as well. For me, this is painful, but I'm going to have to go with the Tampa Bay Rays against my guy, Jacob Lopez. Lopez just threw a gazillion pitches. We talked about it before when we were going over some of the pitch count stuff. And as much as I love his numbers overall for the season, there is, if you look at the numbers for Jacob Lopez, just outside of, like the ERA and the expected ERA, he is still a guy who allows a ton of balls to be hit in the air against him. 26.9% ground ball rate. So just about everything that is made contact with, it's up in the air against him. This Rays team is not going to be overly popular, 6% projected ownership against a pitcher who may be fatigued and allows a lot of fly balls. I see the opportunity for a lot of home runs in this ballpark against Jacob Lopez, who allows fly balls and then also could potentially be dealing with fatigue. I like getting to the Rays here, Eric, and it pains me because I have been a Jacob Lopez guy all year, but not tonight.
Jacob Lopez, 4 kids, and I got to take all that ass to showbiz. Yeah, it's good.
It's pain. It sucks to go against your guys, but sometimes you have to make that kind of decision.
Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen have been getting that treatment from me all year long, and it's painful. It actually physically hurts me, but I'm like, oh yeah, you're different now. You're different. Whereas Kikuchi, now I back him. I don't even know what to do with myself.
What are the other stacks that are important to you today? So you mentioned the Cardinals, and I want a little bit more information on the weather as we get closer, but I do think it's probably more likely to play than not for the Cardinals game. Wasn't willing to take the chance on Liberatore, mostly just because I think there's better pitching option on the slate. So why roll the dice on somebody I don't love for the slate anyway? But yeah, definitely like the Cardinals offense. Would want to reevaluate that as we get a little bit closer to first pitch of that game. What are the other stacks that are really standing out to you for tonight?
Yeah, the Kansas City Royals get to take on Mitchell Parker. Confirmed not good at baseball. So I really like Kansas City. We get Jose Barrios on the mound. So copy paste anything that I ever say about him with the Chicago Cubs that are taking on Barrios up there in Toronto. Get the 9th inning bump. You have speed and power and positive regression due for guys like Pete Crow-Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, who have been pretty brutal lately, but still carry ridiculous. Like Kyle Tucker still has a 389 xWOBA and runs. Like, I think you're still going to find some fantasy upside and relevance in a lot of these spots. And you can play 1 through 9 there in Chicago as Matt Shaw's finally started to show signs of life here and what was promised for him. I think he looks really good. I also like Texas going up against Arizona and DeSclafani, who just has some major warts. Detroit against the White Sox, I would absolutely love. I think that they would probably be way more popular if it weren't for the weather there. I think we have so many different spots to go to. And again, that's kind of what makes me uncomfortable about like really isolating St. Louis, really isolating the White Sox Detroit game. Although Detroit, I'm far more in their camp for this one. I'm far less inclined to take that many White Sox shots there with Jack Flaherty on the mound. I do think you can get to some of the lefties if you want to mix them in, the Colson Montgomerys of the world, but probably not going to be for me today. I was pretty high on the White Sox yesterday. Didn't obviously go well. Don't know what else to say, really. I mean, there's so many good spots on the slate, but I think in priority order, like Kansas City, I think if St. Louis has any kind of issues, I'm going to boost them. I'm going to just get myself to more KC and move on with my day. Tampa Bay, yeah, it's this kiddie park. I mean, it just makes sense. Weird to not get to any athletics today against Shane Baz. I mean, we're giving a lot of respect to Shane Baz.
Well, first, I'll talk about getting to the Kansas City Royals. You mentioned them as well. Mitchell Parker is as bad as it gets at pitch. He's not like Senzatella bad, but whatever the next level of bad is, Mitchell Parker's right there. 5.43 ERA, 5.63 expected ERA, 36% ground ball rate, so pretty good amount of balls get hit in the air against him, and a lot of balls get hit against him because he only has a 14.8% strikeout rate. So Mitchell Parker stinks. The Kansas City Royals, who also, yesterday, Washington had, I can't remember who was the pitch for Washington yesterday. He only pitched 5 innings. So we also saw Washington have to go into their bullpen pretty early yesterday. So I think that the Kansas City Royals, another team who our data also likes, is a team to be stacking a pretty good amount. We got a super chat here from Michael Applegate, 7503. He wants to know, do we like Barrios for over 16.5 outs? Eric, one of your guys, Jose Barrios, or I should say one of your nemesises. What do you think of him for over 16.5 outs?
I hate that I probably lean towards the over there, but I do lean towards the over. And that should tell you that it's probably a good bet. I'm just not going to make it.
Yeah, not every line has a side to it. I don't have a strong opinion on that.
Yeah, it's pretty efficient. I lean towards the over, though. I just looked it up because I saw the question come in.
And then Jeff Williams wants to know, no love against Adams and the Minnesota bullpen. So no Yankees love against Adams and the Minnesota bullpen. Here's the one issue I have with the Yankees. It's not that I think it's a bad spot for them. In general, I like the more expensive pitchers today, and the Yankees are insanely expensive as a stack. So if we go through some of the hitters, let's see. So we don't have that much exposure to them showing up here in the Sims. But if I filter by the Yankees, let's see what is showing up from the Yankees. Yeah, so some Judge, some Jazz Chisholm, some Trent Grisham, some Ryan McMahon, some Ben. But look at like Ben Rice is $4,400, Stanton's $4,800, Chisholm's $4,900, Judge is $6,400. The problem I have with the Yankees is I think there's better offenses to be rostering in better matchups, and then they're also just cheaper. Like the Yankees don't really fit in with the pitchers that we're looking to roster today, Eric.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the A's, I think, with Nick Kurtz and Brent Rooker and Soderstrom and Shea Langoliers. They're just so damn expensive to get to like the main pieces for the A's. So I think that's kind of what it is. But still a lot of respect coming into Shane Baz here, who's a reverse splits guy. I do want to get to some of the righties as one-offs. Shea Langoliers confirmed hot right now. Not that I believe in hot streaks, but boy, oh boy, is he on one. And Brent Rooker. Those are two guys that I just think look awesome as one-offs to get a little bit different. But from a stack perspective, you feel the same way about them that you're explaining with the Yankees. It's just really hard to get to these teams. And we can take multiple shots and kind of go through 4 or 5 teams like I described that are all very, very feasible and easy to get to with some of the expensive pitchers. I don't really love the idea of playing Nestor Cortez plus Emmett Sheehan and then stacking up the Yankees or the aforementioned A's. No, thank you today.
There's one very popular team on the slate. That's the Los Angeles Dodgers. Anything that we're talking about for DraftKings, it's relevant for FanDuel as well. The sites are generally pretty comparable for today. The Dodgers are 12% owned on DraftKings as a stack. They're 15% owned as a stack over on FanDuel, and there's no other team that has double-digit ownership on DraftKings or FanDuel. So I look at the Dodgers like this. I think if you're paying up for a stack, they're the best one to be getting to. The problem with the Dodgers as a stack here, though, it's not the matchup against Victor Medeiros or anything like that. It's more so that they're going to be crazy popular in single entry. But then also, kind of like we just said with the Yankees, it's hard to make Dodger stacks that fit with the pitchers that we're looking to roster, Eric.
Fact.
Yeah, so let's see. What do we have from the Sims for Dodgers exposure? We got the Dodgers in 2% of lineups as 5-man stacks, 5% of them as a 3-man stack. That's generally over the last couple of years how I've preferred to play the Dodgers anyway, just because of cost considerations, playing them as a secondary 3-man stack. And then if we look at the individual exposures on the Dodgers, let's see who's showing up here. Yeah, Ohtani showing up in lineup. So, I mean, Ohtani's in 24% of lineups, which is projected for nearly 30% ownership. Then you look at some of the other hitters on the team where it's like Mookie Betts is $4,800. Teoscar Hernandez is $4,400. Will Smith, who's not actually in the lineup, but I ran the Sims before the show started. He was $5K. Max Muncy, $4,500. Freddie Freeman, $4,800. It's an expensive team to roster. And if you are rostering them, here, nearly every single lineup that has the Dodgers today is going to have Nestor Cortez.
Yep. It's really hard to... I will say this, Will Smith not in the lineup.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure that you said that. I thought I heard you say it, but I also was uploading my lineups, and that is done. I don't have any other notes. Yeah, Nestor Cortez. Boy, oh boy. It's a lot of people who want to play him. It's got to be the most uncomfortable feeling in DFS ever, but I get it. The spot matches up with it. Oh, hey, Duke. What's up, bud?
Yeah, and that's why I like the Giants a little bit as a contrarian leverage stack, because this actually is one that is specific to, I said DraftKings and FanDuel are pretty comparable, but Nestor Cortez, who isn't going to be quite as popular on FanDuel as he's going to be on DraftKings, still 10% owned on FanDuel. But for DraftKings, especially smaller field stuff, where I think Nestor Cortez could be a little bit more popular. The Giants are only 2% owned. And I mean, Nestor Cortez is still a guy in limited innings this year, has an ERA and an expected ERA north of 7. He hasn't pitched much because he dealt with injuries. There's no guarantees he looks reasonable. He could look pretty good today. But the Giants are, the third lowest owned team on the entire slate in our ownership projection, something like that. Yeah, third lowest owned team. If there's actually going to be some ownership going to Nestor Cortez, that makes the Giants make sense to me as a leverage stack to be getting to.
Yep, agreed. The Giants, just because of the leverage, if you're going to get a 15% owned of a guy, again, I didn't list off his numbers earlier, but he's a negative 0.6 WAR. Do you know how hard it is to accumulate a negative 0.6 WAR in 3 outings? It's very difficult. I'm kind of proud of Nestor Cortez for being able to do such things.
And it wasn't his first start of the season returning to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, and he got, I don't think he got out of the first inning from what I remember. I don't think he did. 10.37 FIP is not good in 12 2/3 innings. I'll just say that as well.
Yeah, let's see. So Nestor Cortez, who did he start the season with? The Brewers or something?
Yes, he was with the Brewers, and then he apologized to them on the way out, getting traded to San Diego, which is still funny to me. He's like, "Oh, sorry." It's like, dude, if you were hurt, you were hurt, and there's not a lot you could have done about that, but like, just brain dead stuff. So,
yeah, his first start of the season, it was a return to Yankee Stadium with the Brewers. He went 2 innings, gave up 8 runs, 5 homers in 2 innings, and he's injured. He has to sit out for a little bit. He makes 1 start back, 4 2/3 innings, gives up 2 runs, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. I get it. He's crazy cheap, and it's in a matchup that's good. The pitcher park is good. It seems to be a lot of confidence in a pitcher who's been hurt all year and has been terrible when he's pitched, that he's going to be somewhat decent today. So that's why I think for leverage purposes, getting to the Giants makes a little bit of sense right there.
I was going to say, I think the wind is blowing out pretty good in San Francisco. They built the park to mitigate the factors of wind. If you were to ever get the wind blowing in there, take every dollar in your bank account and put it on this is not financial advice, by the way, but on no home runs. I don't think I've ever seen the wind blowing in at San Francisco ever. Ever. So it's built with that.
Tom Olson does bring up a really good point here where he says stacking the Giants would feel nice if it wasn't for the San Diego bullpen. Yeah, the Padres somehow have 6 of the 15 best relievers in baseball or something like that. I'm just kind of making up exact number or making up non-exact numbers. Here's the thing though. If you're stacking against a team, if they're bringing in their best relievers, the stack probably didn't work out anyway. What you're really looking to happen when you're stacking against the team is they just obliterate the starting pitcher early, and then you kind of get the mediocre, longer, and middle relief pitchers that come in. If this is a competitive 5-4 game and Mason Miller's pitching and Robert Suarez and whatnot, then the stack probably didn't work out anyway. So I agree with you. It makes for more downside in the matchup, but it doesn't really change the upside for me or the leverage angle there either. So I don't want to go crazy with the Giants, but think of it this way. If you built 20 lineups and you played 1 with the Giants, you're 3x the field on them.
Yeah. 2 words, Freddy Peralta. That's the guy you want to see. If you don't see him come out of the pen, there's also that, what's the guy? He's Japanese. I'm trying to remember his name. I'll find it here. Matsui. There you go. Thank you. Yuki Matsui. He's the other guy who I think is pretty awful. They're both lefties, but those are the guys that they bring in when things have gone problematic. So those are the guys you want to see today. And they're both lefties. So you probably keep the entire lineup in order. You probably don't see much pinch hitting no matter what. So shout out those 2. They're real ones. I just gave San Francisco a boost.
Time to talk some homers. So guys, if you haven't done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let us know who you are picking a homer tonight in the YouTube comments, because we'll be reading some of those off here in a second. But Eric, before we read off chat's home run picks, I want to know, who are you picking to go yard for tonight's slate?
Well, shout out Colson Montgomery. I'm still mad I didn't bet him yesterday, but he's a real one. Had a ton of him in DFS. He was the one thing that worked out well from the White Sox. Nothing else did. Just brutality. Shout out Cy Paddock for finding his way into our lives. But I need you guys paying attention to weather. It is very, very freaky over there. But against Kyle Freeland, I'm looking at St. Louis and I'm looking at the righties, and I got to look no further than first baseman Wilson Contreras. I had to double check and make sure I had the right Contreras. That's why I was stalling. But Wilson Contreras, bet him, playing him in DFS. I just think he looks ridiculous today against Freeland.
Junior Caminero, for me, he's vying to be something like the 12th player in baseball history to hit 40 career homers before turning 22 years old. Junior Caminero, He has been on a power tear this season. Also, really good showing in the home run derby this year. I like him to homer off of Jacob Lopez tonight. From chat, Joseph Ramirez has got rushing. We've got Benny Tingman going with Suzuki. Tom Olson has got Matt Olson. David Williams has got Max Muncy. Harlock has got Jock Peterson. Blake Moore has got Carlos Correa. NY Steele is going with my home run pick from yesterday, Herrera. Mighty Quinn has got Addison Barger. EMAC has got Ben Rice. We've got, somebody agreeing with me. Mr. Smagee, 83, has got Caminero. We've got Game Day Swami going with Helio Ramos and Freddie Freeman. We've got Armani Nelson Town Business has got Bellinger and Soderstrom. C.Wee 6678 has got Alex Bregman. Ryan Stubb Stacks has got Butler. We've got Sotex going with Bobby Witt. Brian Weddle has got Max Muncy. Pierre has got Wyatt Langford. William Westry has got Cody Bellinger. We've got Barnaby O'Toole going with Dalton Varsho. Devin Klein has got Corey Seager. Malakar is going with PCA. The downfall of PCA is getting pinch hit for in games now.
Oh, no, stop it. That was a one-time deal. It was a 9th inning against a lefty, and you didn't need him defensively if you're down 3. Like, let's not extrapolate.
No scenario a month ago where PCA is getting pinch hit for in any kind of circumstance.
But it was coming up game after Justin Turner, I think, hit a walk-off as well. So, like, there were a lot of different things that were at play with that one. Let's get a little easy with my guy PCA. Don't you dare start with that. Don't you dare.
He's been on a slide. He is giving the MVP award to Shohei Ohtani. BD855 has got Wood. We've got Lyle from Obi-Wan. We've got Caminero as well from Eric. We've got Red Kell going with Corey Seager. Michael Pavlik has got Muncy. John Davis has got Ohtani, Witt, and Caminero. The real Alabama Jones has got Jerickson Profar. Jeff Williams going with Walker. We've got Artful Dodger going with Salvador Perez. A leadoff Kurtz homer from Ben and JC. We've got Jazz Chisholm from Dub K. We've got Jock Peterson from Junior Whopper. Truffles has got Brandon Nimmo, Colby Thomas from JT Mac, Byron Buxton from Mr. Ace. Nathan Lukes is the pick from somebody whose name just scrolled down, but there's a bunch of them coming in, so now chat's scrolling pretty quick. So I'll just read off some of the ones that I can make out. Sotex has got Pinch Crow Armstrong. We've got C Self-Made has got Royce Lewis. We've got Ozuna from Note for Jason. Jermaine Connolly has got Ketel Marte. We've got P.O.Yo YouTube going with Mike Trout. And then we've got Jason McKinney going with Randall Grichuk. And that is going to do it for home run picks. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and don't forget about DraftKings Best. It's best ball season, and DraftKings is giving all customers a can't-miss offer. Draft one, get one. Enter a lineup in the $15 million best ball contest for just $20, and you'll score another best ball ticket to play free for a share of $15 million, giving you a second chance to win big. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app now to draft your $20 best ball lineup to play for a share of $15 million and get a second ticket to play free for a share of $15 million. That's 2 chances to win big without ever setting your lineup again. Draft one, get one, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions do apply and void where prohibited. 1 per customer. Enter the Best Ball $15 million headliner contest by September 4th, 2025 to get 1 bonus entry. $20 entry fee required. Reward expires in 30 days. See terms at DraftKings.com/NFL.